Congresswoman Cammack. And good morning, Kat. How are you?
Good morning, Bob and Greg. Good to hear your voice.
Yeah, it's great to have you with us. 87,000 new IRS agents. The expansion, of course, is extremely expensive to begin with. The concern is going after taxpayers who might not even be able to afford to defend themselves properly. So they're going to end up just paying if they can even do that. I guess my bigger question is this a further weaponization of the IRS like we saw beginning with how the Tea Parties were treated?
Absolutely. I mean, and this is the thing that we've seen so many times before, Bob. There is a distraction that plays out on one side, and then on the other side, you have the truly nefarious, underhanded things going on. And this bill that I have to go return to Washington the end of this week to vote on to try to fight, that is the truly nefarious thing. So we've seen the raid on President Trump's home, and everyone's talking about that. But really what they ought to be concerned about, I mean, and both of them are equally concerning, but think about this. We are seeing a complete and total weaponization of federal agencies. 87,000 IRS agents would be more than the Pentagon, Customs and Border Patrol, and the State Department combined. And when the Senate Democrats had an opportunity to prove that they weren't after everyday Americans, there was an amendment put on the floor of the Senate that said that they would not use these agents to target people making less than $400,000. Every single Democrat voted that amendment down, which right there proves that their intention is to go after working class Americans. And if you are making $75,000 or less, you are square in the bullseye of what they are trying to do. And it is clear as day. It is in black and white. It is in the language. 87,000 new IRS agents that will be coming after you, our businesses. And that's just one portion of this disastrous bill. Let us not forget the $350 billion with a B dollars in new taxes and fees for methane and for oil production. There's even an America energy tax in this bill and a Made in America tax bill. So not only are we personally going to be seeing higher increases in our taxes, but our small businesses are going to get hit with audits and with more taxes, and gas at the pump is going to continue to go up.
Wait a second. This is at a time when if we're doing anything, we would want to be extremely proactive in rewarding American businesses, trying to draw businesses to come from other places or at least to start manufacturing here. But instead, it looks like they're punishing American businesses.
Well, that is what the America Last agenda under Joe Biden and his regime looks like. It is continually offshoring jobs. It is continually attacking Americans. And that's the thing that I go back to. Big government doesn't trust you and I. They want to control every aspect of our lives. And it is through this dependency and control agenda that they continue to perpetuate that we see their true intentions. That's why I'm a small government conservative. I'm a constitutional conservative. And I continue to push for, let's get back to the basics. Let's get government out of our lives as much as possible. Because when they're empowered, they turn and weaponize federal agencies against the people that are funding them. This is what is so wild. And we are now in a recession. It is official. I don't care how many times they want to change definitions. It is, in fact, a recession. And we're getting squeezed with rent. We're getting squeezed with groceries and at the gas pump. And, of course, this is back to school time. Every single person who has to go buy back to school supplies is paying $625 more per child this year than last year. If you've got 3 or 4 kids, that's a huge hit. And so think about that. The supply chain's broken. We're in a recession. And even Bernie Sanders, crazy Bernie Sanders, isn't buying what the Democrats are selling. He's calling it the so-called Inflation Reduction Act because, in his own words, it doesn't reduce inflation. This is the Inflation Expansion Act. And we need to start calling it what it is. We're 4 votes away from killing this bill. We have to do that because this is just another hit that we, the American people, cannot afford, and we cannot take this hit.
I totally agree with you. The weaponization of the IRS, the weaponization of the FBI. You've got this Director Wray that anytime he's asked an important question, he hides behind in the middle of an investigation, we can't comment. Just run, duck, and cover. And the DOJ, led by Merrick Garland, this guy won't answer any questions either. Is there anything that the Republicans can do about this?
Yeah, that was the day that it happened. Actually, that night we were on several calls with our colleagues, and then yesterday I was on the phone and spoke with Jim Jordan. We have an effort underway to do several different things, and keep in mind, being in the minority, we're 4 votes shy of having the majority in the House. What that means is that, say, the Judiciary Committee, where all of these investigations will take place, that is being led by Jerry Nadler out of New York. He already told Jim Jordan they're not going to pursue any sort of investigation. So what we can do and what we have done as Republicans in the House is, one, we have put in formal document preservation requests. That means that every single document, communication, text message, email, everything is being preserved in the way that is related to this investigation. Second, there's been a request for all of the communications from the National Archivist, who is saying that we've been requesting these documents and these records from President Trump, and so we're getting copies of every single request to really understand, was this made up? What is going on there? Third, we've put in a request for a inventory of every single document that was seized by the FBI. And then 4, we have demanded copies of the search warrant to see and understand the full scope of what they were going for. But as I was talking with my colleagues yesterday, both Jim Jordan and members of the Intel Committee, we basically all understand, and as I believe every American understands, you don't get 30 FBI agents raiding your home, your private residence, going through your private things that are outside the scope of what the Presidential Records Act stipulates, right? Unless there is something that is rising to immediate national security concerns. I can say pretty safely that there's nothing of national security concerns within Melania's wardrobe. So we need to get to the bottom of this, and first and foremost, Republicans are going to be focused on accountability and consequences. There will be an intense investigation, and for the first time in a long time, there will actually be consequences for people who continue to break the law, the Hunter Bidens, the Hillary Clintons of the world. And this has to stop because people are losing faith in the government. They're losing faith in the system that our country was built on. We are a nation of law and order and due process. And, Bob, I know that some people sometimes think, well, yeah, we are, but then they want to turn around and say something like, well, I didn't like your vote on that or this or that. Listen, at the end of the day, I'm a constitutional conservative. And to me, the Constitution, it's not a la carte. You're either for freedom and equal protection under the law and due process, or you're not. And so we as conservatives, we have to really stand by that